Thank you, Kara. Good day, everybody. I will call the CROG Transportation Committee meeting for Monday, April 2026 to order. Again, the roll call will be done electronically, and we will move on to public forum. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address the committee at this time? Going once? Going twice? Again, anyone wishing to address the committee? Going three times? I do not see any, and we will move on to adoption of the minutes of our meeting held on March 23, 2026, which have been posted and distributed. And I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved, Devin Copperwaite, Windsor Locks.
Thank you, Devin. Is there a second?
Greg Sower, second.
Thank you, Greg. Any additions, deletions? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And abstentions, again, if you're abstaining, please indicate your name and community. Hearing no abstentions, all the minutes are approved as distributed. And we will move on to staff reports, starting with Roger and Annika for 60 seconds for safety.
All right. Thank you, John. I want to give you a brief update on our safety action plan, where we stand. Over the last few months, we've been working with our municipalities on some priority project listings, and we completed those. So our next plan is to have our full safety action plan document posted on the CROG website by May 1st. Our task force meeting is also meeting on May 6th. And then we'll have a public comment period that ends May 30th. And so with that and making any revisions, our plan is to hopefully present to the Transportation Committee for approval at the June meeting and the Policy Board for adoption at the June meeting. So we have posted a lot of new material, some new updates on the dashboard. The link is in the memo, and our safety action plan web page shows one sample. There is just the new dashboard. It has a GIS tool where you can click on the various high injury network maps, high risk network maps, all the fatalities in our region over the past 5 years that is part of our plan. So you can use those tools. So that's just a quick update on where we stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Any questions for Roger? Moving on, Elizabeth, on the HJA update.
Thank you, and hello, everybody. Good segue from Roger's work with the Safety Action Plan, because the Safe Streets and Roads for All program, the popular U.S. DOT program that releases about $1 billion a year over the past 5 years. So this will be the 5th year that program is available. There's 2 types of grants. There's planning and demonstration, which they're expecting to award 400 to 700 awards across the country. And then implementation grants to implement projects from an existing action plan. So there's only about 40 to 70 projects expected for that, but still, perhaps 2 per state, or they may also allocate if they don't receive enough applications in planning and demonstration. If it's under subscribed, the US DOT will consider allocating more money to implementation grant projects. So again, this is a great program that a lot of you have already taken advantage of over the years for either planning and demonstration projects. Not as lucky with implementation, but still there's more money available now than there was previously in our first rounds. But that's probably the big one from the list here. There's also the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, which is a BRIC grant offered through FEMA. But you have to coordinate you get to coordinate with the State Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security That department is the applicant, and anybody who applies, like any municipalities or COGs that apply to Demis, they would apply as sub-applicants. So that opportunity is open until July, where Safe Streets and Roads for All has a quicker application turnaround. And CROG is working on guidance documents for both of those opportunities. Right now, for Safe Streets and Roads for All, I'm working through listening to the webinars and incorporating content from that into a document that folks could use. And then our School of Public Policy through the University of Connecticut intern Nick Lanza has developed a draft of the BRIC guidance document, which hopefully will get both released to their various CROG websites later this week. But so the next slide, and there's other opportunities in the funding newsletter to consider. The next slide really details those two, some key information, especially with SS4A. If your project will involve a state right of way, it's required that you coordinate with the Connecticut DOT. So there's an April 30th deadline for the request for a letter of support. But you might also just want letters of support from DOT or from CROG or others. So please feel free to reach out. And then the application deadline for SS4A is May 26th. And then the third bullet down is FEMA with the July 1 deadline. And the third item I would just highlight is that we are still accepting applications for CROG's Brownfield Revolving Loan Fund program for environmental cleanup projects. And we're still watching the DOT Bridge Investment Program, that they may announce a notice of funding opportunity for that. Planning and bridge projects, the large bridge projects came out in earlier or late last year. And we're also tracking the different marker bills that are being proposed as part of the reauthorization of surface transportation funding. I know that was a lot of information. Hopefully you took away some key insights about SS4A. I did launch if you want to go on the next slide, Jack, that'd be good. I did launch a web page for the fiscal year 2026 program that is open now. And there's some key information there. I can drop a link to that in the chat too, with where I'll upload the guidance documents once they're finalized. And we'll also just mention that CROG is also working on an application for SS4A, a planning and demonstration grant for roundabouts and quick builds. So we're hopeful to get that application underway over the next couple weeks and submitted in time for that May 26th deadline. And a reminder here about grant application and technical assistance that we have available to you, as well as the on-call consultants, economic analysis, and the traffic safety engineering services. But for the economic analysis, there's no benefit cost analysis required for SS4A, but for the BRIC program there is. And I know some reps from the different towns here have interest in applying for BRIC. And if you are having trouble with the benefit cost analysis, there's technical support available through CROG's on-call consultants. I noticed with our website transition that the BIL webpage did not, something looks a little quirky with it. So I'm working on that. That was a late Friday afternoon discovery for me while I was updating the SS4A website. But that website that I linked here is good. It's just our normal webpage. I've got to work on getting that back into operating order. But anyway, in the meantime, you have my information, so please feel free to reach out. We do have a lot of specialized resources for the CROG municipalities for SS4A that we're going to be able to give, like the self-certification worksheet and other, tailored guidance for CROG's towns, especially responding to some of those application questions. So we are here to help. And I know I went on a little longer than usual, but I want to make sure that you have the information you need, or you know you know where to find it for the SS4A program, because it is a great opportunity to address some of our transportation infrastructure projects in our region. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Any questions? Very thorough as always, and much appreciated. All right, we'll move on to Kara and the draft 2730 TIP.
Yep, thank you, John. So we recently released the draft update of our TIP, which is going to be for federal fiscal years 2027 to 2030. We are going to be having 2 public meetings about this draft document. One will be this Thursday at 11 a.m. in a hybrid format, and the other will be the following Thursday in the evening, just virtually. I will put in the chat a link to our TIP website that has information about how to register for those meetings, view the documents, things like that. The public comment period will be open through May 10th, and we intend to bring that document for Transportation Committee review and Policy Board endorsement in May.
Thank you, Kara. Any questions? Look forward to May. All right, the next D&E are 2 LOTSIP items. One is the quarterly report with Satori and Stephanie, and the second is the cost increase policy discussion summary with Satori and Rob. So we'll start off with the quarterly report.
Thank you, John, and good afternoon, everybody. So this is a Q3 quarterly report, and the attachments, the LOTSIP regional quarterly status report and the LOTSIP program and financial summary for March were provided, and we use that information for this report. But we're just going to report on the highlights. So the highlights for Q3 are summarized, and CROG received 1 authorization to award letter for Simsbury Firetown Road sidewalk gap, and that was for $699,508. Plus they had a connectivity grant included in that. So congratulations to the town of Simsbury. CROG also received 2 authorization to advertise letters. One was for West Hartford Fern Street Bridge. So we're glad that one is advancing, and one for Windsor Marshall Phelps. And one was for 6 million, and the other one is for 1.9, a little over 1.9 million. So congratulations to those towns and municipalities, and hopefully they are out to bid. CROG received 4 final design submissions, and those totaled over $12 million. One was for New Britain Arch Street for a little over 3.5 million. Windsor Marshall Phelps, which we had mentioned before, we received the final design and immediately received the authorization to advertise for 1.9, a little over. New Britain Myrtle Street, Complete Streets, that one's a little bit over almost 4 million. And Ellington Route 83 sidewalk installation for a little over 2.7 million. So congratulations to all those towns. We hope to see them out to bid. Some of them, I think, have received their authorization to advertise since this report was submitted. So congratulations to those municipalities. And then CROG received 6 Q3 design submissions last quarter, and we appreciate that, all that the municipalities have submitted. So I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie.
Thank you, Satoria. Looking ahead, CROG anticipates receiving 18 design submissions in the Q4 of fiscal year 2026. These include 8 preliminary design submissions, 9 90% design submissions, and 1 final design submission. Since the program began, a total of 79 projects have been awarded or completed. During Q3, 2 project applications were submitted to the DOT one for Newington's Maple Hill Ave and Alumni Road project, and another for West Hartford Sedgwick Road projects. CROG has also received 2 DOT commitment to fund letters, one for East Hartford Goodwin Street reconstruction project totaling approximately $3.8 million, and one for the Hartford New Britain Avenue at Newington Avenue and Stone Street roundabout and road diet projects, which totals just over $5.2 million. In addition, 2 project closeout documents were submitted for Tolland's Old Cat Hole Road and Windsor Locks Route 75 sidewalk projects. Finally, there are no projects requiring reporting this quarter.
Thank you, Satori and Stephanie. Any questions? All right, summary of the lots of cost increase policy. Satori and Rob?
Yeah, I'll take this, John. Thank you. Last month in March, we had a subcommittee meeting and we wanted to highlight, our ongoing issues that are always present regarding cost estimating accuracy and cost increases as projects move through design, how we might do things better. There were a number of suggestions that the subcommittee had, and we've documented those here. And I'll turn it over to Stephanie to kind of explain what the committee came up with.
Thanks, Rob. So prior to CROG's next solicitation, which is anticipated in 2028, staff will take several steps. First, we will provide a summary of funding increase requests from the prior 2 years, and we'll also analyze those requests to identify common causes and develop resulting cost estimating guidance. So some possible common causes might include increases related to projects that are on state roads, underestimation of traffic control, unidentified drainage issues, and incomplete pavement treatment analyses. Prior to the next solicitation, CROG will also discuss some potential refinements with the Transportation Committee, including the possibility of additional ranking criteria, such as awarding more points for a complete estimate, and whether there is an additional or a need for additional application data needs, such as pavement cores, drainage inspections, or crash analyses data.
And I think,
go ahead, Rob.
yeah, I think this is just, we brought it to the committee's attention last month, and we were in the middle of lots of solicitations, so it was a bit late to incorporate these. The committee felt into any of the applications that were already submitted, actually, and so the thought was is we'd work to sharpen our pencils during the next solicitation when the estimates were being developed. So this is kind of the guidance the subcommittee gave us. So thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to your report back. Any additional comments or recommendations from members of the committee? Hearing none, seeing none, we will move on to Annika for three items: a trip solicitation reminder, the Condat Road Safety Audit, and the Transportation Resilience Improvement Plan.
Thank you,
Annika,
John.
the floor is yours.
Much appreciated. So first off, just a reminder that the trip solicitation is going on right now. Submissions are due by April 27th, 2026 at noon to my email. The eligible towns currently are Andover, East Granby, Somers, Stafford, Tolland, and Willington. The towns of Bolton, Columbia, Coventry, Hebron, and Marlborough do have current trip grants. If they're able to move their grant into past final design into construction, they will be eligible, but that will need to be done by the time the application is submitted. And then just a reminder, this is between $300,000 and $2 million grants for transportation infrastructure in the rural area of the municipality or standalone sidewalks and multi-use trails across the municipality. If there's any questions, please let me know. If you're writing up an application, feel free to reach out so we could prepare a letter of support for you. But thank you, and let me know if there's any questions on the TRIP program.
Don't hear any, Annika, so move on.
All right, we'll go to the next item. So this is just another reminder about another helpful program that CTDOT offers. So CTDOT will do road safety audits for state roads if some of the eligibility requirements that has to be, again, on a state road, less than a half mile in length and have some kind of proven crash history. So this is something that you can reach out to the RSA email. And if you send the location, some crash data, if you have any supporting information such as ADT, you can send that as well. And CTDOT accepts these on a rolling basis. So if you're interested in doing an RSA with CTDOT over the summer, I would recommend emailing them now and maybe they'll be able to slot you in. But this is just a program to help improve safety, particularly for vulnerable road users, bicyclists, pedestrians on state routes. And so they'll do a pre-audit meeting with you, they'll go out to the field audit, and then they'll do a post-audit meeting and produce a final report. This is different from CROG's walk audit program, and that ours is a little more flexible on where you can go, what you want to look at. We let the municipalities lead that a lot, where this has a little bit more restrictions, but they do produce, the CTDOT program does produce a very robust final report. Usually they have a consultant help them produce it. So if it's something you're interested in, feel free to ask, add more, investigate their website. Let me know if there's any questions on that, and I'll send some links into the chat right now to those programs.
Thank you, Annika. And one more item.
Okay, my last item, thank you everyone, is an update on the Resilience Improvement Plan. This is something that we're working with the other non-coastal COGs, so Northeast, Northwest, Naugatuck Valley. And we kicked it off pretty recently we have a consultant hired, we're starting work, so this is just kind of a heads up that we're going to start doing some municipal engagement. The big benefit of this plan is this is through the Protect federal grant program. So similar to the Safety Action Plan in SS4A, if there's projects that are included in a resilience improvement plan, they then become eligible for Protect implementation funds. So we'll be doing a lot of outreach to the municipalities to make sure we're getting your priority locations into this plan so that in the future they can go after implementation grants. This plan focuses on local assets. The state is doing a statewide plan, but only for state facilities, state roads, and this is all transportation related. It has a big transportation focus, as compared to like the natural hazard mitigation plan, which includes a lot of different assets. So things to look out for, we're going to start putting together a technical advisory committee. We'll be sending a data gathering request out and a municipal staff survey on some of your highest concerns. So this will probably be over the next month or two that these things will start coming out, and we'll have some other touch points throughout the rest of this, hopefully about year and a half process. So if there's any questions on this, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Annika. Any other questions for Annika? All right, the Eversource relocation invoicing, Rob.
Yeah, thank you, John. We received word from one of our municipalities who I think is online here and can help us with details that Eversource, they were having some trouble with Eversource utility relocation on any non-federally funded project. They say that Eversource was claiming that these projects were betterments or beautifications, regardless of what the town or city felt the project was, and they were invoicing municipalities for these relocations. One was a LOTSEP project, and the municipality was New Britain. We want to hear from others here if they've been receiving similar issues, but we've tried to coordinate with CONDOT, or we did coordinate with CONDOT regarding the LOTSEP project, and CONDOT was pretty adamant that anything going through LOTSEP was not a beautification project or solely beautification or solely, a betterment or anything like that, that the state statutes should apply or do apply. And those are kind of listed here. And I'm going to ask Jason Outlaw from New Britain to give a little bit of context to this and what he's seen at the city, and then maybe we can check and see if anybody else has been experiencing the same thing. Jason?
Great, thanks, Rob. So it started last year. Last June, I received an invoice from Eversource for $54,000 on a locally funded. It's partially funded by LoCIP, so there are state dollars, but the rest is put in through city dollars. But it's a full traffic signal replacement. There's overhead wires that need to be temporarily relocated out of the way so that they could drill the mast arm foundation. And Eversource has told us they will not perform any work until we pay that $54,000 invoice for them to help Frontier temporarily relocate their facilities.
Well, that's what I wore over.
That may not be the only invoice we received for that project. So we've been refusing to pay it and going back and forth with them, trying to understand what their opinion is. And from their explanation, they told us since we're not moving curb lines, it's considered a beautification or just a betterment project, and we would need to cover those costs. And while we were going through this project with them, we started our John Downey Drive LOTSA project, where we have a vault cover and at least 4 manholes that need to be reset to match the new grades because we moved in curb lines, which they're now saying that project is entirely beautification, even though the requirement before was that we weren't moving curb lines and now we are moving curb lines. So they don't seem to have a clear message throughout, but everything we understand is that they're trying to charge us for any work they're doing within the municipal right of way that's due to a municipal project. So once we received the confirmation from DOT that Eversource should be covering this work, we drafted a letter and our corporation counsel is currently reviewing it and we haven't sent it out yet.
Thanks. Has anybody else been experiencing this in their municipality?
Rob, Peter.
Yep.
This is one of my favorite subjects. They started this about 10 years ago when I got a similar $30,000 request for funds to move poles while we replace a culvert. So
Is that the one we went up to the
yes,
to the Capitol for? Yeah.
You know, we had a few others. So Rob was there. So I would suggest you meet in the Capitol with your state senators and Eversource and have a discussion. They are trying to pay for tree clearing, and this is how they're doing it. Is what they've told us. But yeah, they are charging temporary moves and now no longer they're charging temporary and permanent as 2 moves. That's being charged as 1. And even if you show them you're widening the road an inch, they still want to argue with you about it. So this is something that needs a lot of attention, and it is very arbitrary.
Maybe we should deny them access. Put your pole somewhere else.
They have all the statutory power to put it where they want.
I know.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
Peter, this is Rob Trottier. Were you successful in going to the Capitol and getting them to waive the fees?
They cut them in half. They didn't charge us for the next 2 projects. And everyone we've done since has been much more reasonable. I mean, when we sat down with them, they started, what, you want to know every nut and bolt? Yes, we went from $1,200, which we paid generally when we relocated a pole permanently, to $30,000. So we just look for, it has gotten better, but it's just their will. And again, you're stuck because you need them to do what they got to do.
Yeah, West Hartford's facing the same thing. We have a project in our center, and they're charging us $2,500 to adjust a simple manhole. Even more than that to replace covers to their vault, which are kind of deferred maintenance and need to be replaced anyways. So yeah, we're kind of struggling with that as well. And your hands are kind of tied. You're in the middle of a construction project. They're holding it up, and we have a vault sitting on LaSalle Road that's 6 inches higher than the finished pavement right now with barriers around it because they haven't moved it, and we're not really interested in paying for that project.
So if I think what I can do is if we get a list of towns that are currently facing this, so New Britain and West Hartford, typically ConnDOT's utility unit has been a bit of a help to us, but I know they've had turnover, so, which makes it difficult, they've had retirements, that kind of thing. But we can certainly go down that path, or convene a little discussion period between all and come up with a plan, between all the affected parties. Is there anybody else besides West Hartford, New Britain?
This is Micah Hearn, town of Berlin. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't get a bill yet. I'm expecting it to come, but we have a connectivity funded sidewalk project, which has a sidewalk and a monolithic curb approach. So we're not moving the curb line, but there's no sidewalk there right now, and they're calling it a betterment. And we want to move 2 poles, one particularly at the corner where you need to put a ramp in. So we haven't gotten to the point where they've agreed to do anything, and they haven't billed us or assessed and given us an estimate. But the term betterment was in one of their emails to me, and I was kind of like surprised at that. So yeah, we're getting rumblings similar to New Britain and West Hartford and others.
And yeah, and I don't know when this betterment thing came, because I think, Peter, when we were arguing with Eversource with the state senator, I think they were doing it based on, they were claiming that a brook was a sewer or something like that,
Yeah.
and they didn't have
Yeah.
to pay because it was classified in their
It was
eyes as a
sewer.
sewer.
Yes.
So this betterment thing is a new angle, apparently.
Yeah, you're right, Rob.
Yeah, and they use the term like that it wasn't for safety purposes, which is sort of senseless because there's no sidewalk there. We're putting a sidewalk in, so anyone with half a brain would say, yes, you're giving someone a place to walk and not go in the shoulder or into the street. So yeah, I have the email. I can send it to you, Rob, so you can see what
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, so that way you can. And again, we haven't gotten to the point where they've sent us a bill or even an estimate, but I just was a little surprised, and I heard from Jason, and I'm like, this is not going in the right direction here. So yeah, appreciate you guys looking at this.
And they use the same term with us for the not being a safety project on both projects.
Rob, it's Mark Moriarty. It seems like we got to be proactive here because whatever they're up to, and the DOT email was very strong that those costs should not be covered, protected. But they seem to be pushing the envelope here a little bit, and it's very concerning.
I think DOT is going to probably be on the most help on the lot zip side of things, but maybe that could, that would extend obviously to many projects, I guess. Yeah, I'll be in touch with anybody. So I'll be in touch with West Hartford, New Britain, and Berlin. Is anybody else would like to be in that discussion? Or you can just email me.
Tori Sidoti, town of South Windsor here. I'm just curious, based on what I heard, I haven't gone through this yet as the town engineer with South Windsor, but was utility coordination done early on in the process here, or are these last minute change orders that are happening? I'm just curious, just for my knowledge moving forward.
At least speaking to the John Downey Drive LOTSA project, we did do the utility coordination. All the utility companies received the plans. We had an infield coordination meeting as well, where we walked the project and discussed the work that needed to be done. So they were aware of it ahead of time.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious on that aspect of when they knew about it, essentially, before hitting you with the bill.
Rob, this is Rob Trottier. I'm not necessarily having an issue with relocates at the moment. I'm sure it'll come, but it's just been incredibly difficult to get Eversource to respond and do anything. I mean, it took me 2 years to order 42 decorative lights for a LOTSIP project we constructed last year. I mean, it was painful. I mean, the number of emails I sent and the people I've copied to get that solidified was obscene. So maybe, I don't know if that's something, I don't know if you want to mix those two together, but it's always an issue with Eversource. I'm dealing with them on another street light issue where they're billing us for lights that haven't existed in 10 years or 15 years. Can't get them to engage.
Just to tap onto what Rob just mentioned too, for our Firetown Road sidewalk job, we reached out to them for relocating a couple poles back in September of last year before we even went to bid, just to get ahead of it, knowing that Eversource sometimes takes a little while to relocate poles. And we, between them as well as the secondary communication lines on the poles, they just barely finished the work last week, which from September to last week, it could have impacted our construction schedule. And I think from what I understand, a couple things were wrong too. So it's just it's something that's really difficult to plan for when Eversource is involved, and whether they're going to fit with your schedule. And even in this case, when you try to be proactive, it's still, weekly emails, weekly calls, and then became daily calls as we approach the construction season. And it seems like every time there's an excuse of, oh, there's a storm, which is fine, after like a month, but 6 months go by and it's really difficult to work with. And luckily it's done now for us, but I imagine other municipalities might end up with a potential delay claim because Eversource can't perform the work in a timely manner.
Thanks. I think this is an issue that's gonna needs a bigger discussion and would probably take over this meeting if we kept going. So, you know what? I'll reach out to the entire committee, whether we have a subcommittee meeting on this in general or a separate meeting. I'll have to figure that out. But thanks for all the input, and I think it needs some separate attention. Thanks.
Rob, before we move on, a couple of suggestions. I think one, you ought to have a small select committee. It seems to me that with Condot's permission, we move this up to the commissioner level to start. I think if we could get him to support the towns with this issue and then take it up to the state capitol. I also think, because I tend to be of that nature, that this may be something we want to go public with and begin to publicize the fact that Eversource is treating the municipalities and behaving with the municipalities and costing the municipalities time and money. And I'm not I think that could be arranged, but I think that a small group representing the committee, clearly with you and Matt involved, I think should see if we can get a session with the commissioner to see whether he's willing to assist in this matter.
Sure, we'll pursue that or something very similar.
All right, moving on. I know, at least on my agenda, a couple of things were added. The long-range transportation plan, Kara, and then the land use and warehousing studies public meeting with Kyle.
Great. Thank you, John. So we got word after the original agenda went out that DOT has released their draft long-range transportation plan for 2055. They're going to be having some public meetings about that. Actually, this Wednesday, one during the day and one in the evening. I will put information in the chat to get to their webpage with more information about those meetings and how to comment on the statewide plan. We just wanted to make everyone aware if they wanted to take a look and potentially provide comments.
Thank you, Kara. And the warehousing study?
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks, John. Yeah, I just wanted to give you folks an update. The warehousing study is close to finishing up. We're going to have a public meeting on Monday, May 11th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. It'll be online. And we are going to make the recording available after that. But if you're available during that time slot, please feel free to attend. Town engineers, public works people, land use commissions, and please feel free to forward it to your colleagues who may be interested. You can register there via the QR code, and I will drop a registration link in the chat as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions? All right, move on to the highlights of the meeting. Our Executive Director's report. Matt, you with us?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you today, John, and others. I am conscious of the time. I'm primarily here to listen. Thank you for raising that Eversource matter. We will certainly pursue that. I would also mention that our policy board is going to have a very busy day on Wednesday. We've got our regular meeting at noon, but in advance of that, in the morning, a bit of a visioning session where we're going to talk about where we are with respect to implementing our various strategic priorities, and undoubtedly we'll touch on a host of related transportation topics, whether it's projects like the mobility study, and how do we best support our towns moving forward. So looking forward to that conversation with the policy board, and we'll be happy to provide summary to the Transportation Committee following that at some point in May or June. So, thank you, John.
Thank you, Matt. Some of us look forward to the Wednesday sessions. TIP amendments, Rob?
Thank you. Yeah, we have 8 TIP amendments in front of you. Really it's, I'm going to split this talk up between interstate and more local projects. The interstate projects are 1, 2, 3, and 7. I'll talk about those first. 1 and 7 are truck parking. This is efforts along I-91 in Enfield, on the southern side of Enfield, right? The first exit north of East Windsor, getting some truck parking at that interchange over on the riverside, the northwest quadrant of that interchange. And then secondly, number 7 is truck parking out in Vernon. That's the exit, I believe it's 67, or used to be 67. There was on the south side of the highway, there used to be a baseball little league kind of complex that's all overgrown, a sports complex, and that is where the truck parking area is proposed there. Truck parking is a big issue nationwide. It's a safety issue. If drivers don't have places to park, they're fatigued. Then if folks end up parking on the highways at night or on local roads, and that's a safety concern also. So it's the appropriate funding source. It's mainly state funds with some STP Anywhere. We love to use Anywhere in our region because it can be used anywhere in the state. Items 2 and 3 are bridge projects over the Connecticut River, both of them. One is the Bulkley Bridge, which carries 84 over the Connecticut River, and there's rehab needs there. And then there's also rehab needs on the Founders Bridge at the end of Route 2 going over the Connecticut River into Hartford. So those are both large projects. They're not new projects. This is an increase in funding due to some scope changes. And the second one is actually a reduction in funding. So one is an increase, one's a reduction. Then to the local projects, which we focus more upon here. Number 4 is what we call Transportation Alternatives Program, and we do the solicitations here at CROG for that. So this is a project that was in one of our solicitations, our last 2024 CROG solicitation. This is getting funded for Hartford, Hampton Street. It's a new project, so we're happy to see that moving forward. Number 5 is a safety project, and number 8 is a safety project. One's Rocky Hill, And that is getting rid of some of the slip lanes on the getting off of 91 onto the Silestine at the intersections. There are kind of slip right turn lanes. Those are problematic for pedestrians. They have to cross two intersections instead of one, and one is just a stop/yield type of situation. So they're crossing higher speed traffic there. This would make those more traditional intersections that's the line of Rocky Hill Weathersfield. And then I mentioned number 8 is another safety improvement. That is various signal improvements. This one is a signal improvement in the one signal improvement. This is many in this line item, but one of the signals is in Krog region. That's in Mansfield at the corner of 195 and 320 near the Four Corners up in Mansfield. So that's one of the intersections being improved. And then on top of that, we have one last one, which is item 6, and that's Stafford. That's using STP urban funds, and this committee has mandated that we not spend those on freeway type facilities. This is not on a freeway type facility. This is on State Route 19, and it's a culvert. So those are the TIP amendments. They all appear to be the appropriate funding sources, and we would recommend approval and recommendation to the policy board for their approval.
Thank you, Rob. Just having trouble unmuting. Just one thing on the last project. That's one heck of a cost increase, which I know it's not coming from our money, but strikes me going from 500,000 to over 2 million. Pretty big jump. But that said, I'd entertain a motion to approve the TIP as presented.
Very pretty. Yeah, very pretty. Patrice Carson, so moved.
Thank you, Patrice. Is there a second?
Jason Scott, Rocky Hill.
Thank you, Jason. Any discussion on the TIP amendments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? No opposition, any abstention? TIP amendments are approved as presented and will be so recommended to the policy board acting as the MPO. Item number 6, 2026 lot tip project solicitation rankings, which I will report that the cost review committee met on this prior to this meeting and unanimously, without any objection or comment, approve the rankings and recommend same to the full committee. And with that, I'll turn it over to Satori and Stephanie.
Thank you, John, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to briefly go through, since we did discuss it at the subcommittee and it was recommended for approval. So I just wanted to go through quickly and show well, first of all, we did receive 36 project applications totaling more than 84 million, and that represented the highest number of submissions and total funding requests that we've ever received. So I want to thank all the municipalities that did respond to the solicitation, and we appreciate each project that was submitted and are grateful for your participation. So you can see the reserved amounts in that breakdown, and then if we go to table 1, you can see there were 20 projects that were selected, and we have 9 in reconstruction for over 33 million, and 30 million was reserved. We have, 7 projects that were selected for the standalone sidewalk project, over 7 million. We had actually 7 million reserved, but we received $17 million in projects for the standalone sidewalk. It was probably the most that we've ever received. Bike and ped projects, we had reserved amount 3 million, And we have 2.3, a little over 2.3 million that are selected. And then we have the rural set aside, 5 million was reserved, and over 6 million, 6.2 million were selected. So in total, a little over 48 million, almost 49 million projects were selected out of the 84 million that were received. So just you can briefly go through the table 2 through 4, and you can see the rankings. And if anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer that. But yep, those are the reconstruction. You can go on to the next one. Yep, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Satori. And again, thank you and the entire transportation team for the really stupendous work you've done on the entire LOTSIP program, but again, on reviewing, processing, and ranking all of the community applications. And if there are no questions or comments from members of the committee, I would entertain a motion to approve the proposed rankings. And we need to send these on to the policy board.
That's correct.
That's the next step. It goes to we'd make a recommendation, then it goes to the policy board. Does that happen Wednesday?
No, that's going to happen in May. We wanted to give a little bit of time in case anyone had any questions. So in May, that they will go to the policy board.
Thank you.
I'd entertain a motion to approve them and recommend same to the policy board.
Patrice Carson, so moved.
Thank you, Patrice. Is there a second?
Meeting.
Thank you.
Hang on.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? The rankings are approved as presented and will be so recommended to the policy board acting as the TMO at their May meeting. And thank you again, staff, for all your marvelous work. And we'll now move on to item number 7, the local match for Safe Streets and Roads for All. Roger and Annika.
Thank you, John. So under the US DOT Safe Streets and Roads for All funding opportunity, the CROG staff and leadership is suggesting that we submit a supplemental planning and demonstration grant in an amount up to $1.25 million of a project cost. And so that would result in the 80% federal funding of $1 million and would require CROG to match the $250,000 20% local match. What we are suggesting, you're seeing the resolution there, but there was just a one-page cover to the memo, and we're suggesting that we have a project of supplemental planning that would include one, concept level plans for intersection safety improvement projects, and those concept plans then would include probably some cost estimates, traffic analysis, and some outreach efforts that would make those projects then well suited to get full funding in the future under other opportunities for design and construction. And then secondly, we would suggest demonstration activities for quick build projects at intersections. So we don't, in our grant application at this time, we aren't suggesting that the specific locations would be determined. Those would be determined after the grant is received, and we'd work with our towns to select the locations and develop a process for doing that. So we are asking for, basically we're seeking the Transportation Committee's approval to recommend to the policy board the adoption of this resolution, that we would get the approval to submit that grant application for a supplemental planning grant. The application is due May 26th, and then that would allow our executive director to execute an agreement if we would receive an award.
Thank you, Roger. Any discussion? Any questions? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Resolution as presented.
Patrice Carson, so moved.
Thank you, Patrice. Is there a second?
Larry Burrell, second.
Thank you, Larry. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? The resolution passes as presented and will be forwarded on to the policy board at their May meeting or the next meeting.
This next one this week. Hope
Okay.
it's on their agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Any other business for the good of the committee? Hearing none, seeing none.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn is in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you again, staff. Be well, everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Oh.